Hi everybody, this is Ospreyeye from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and some Bitcoin related stocks. So first up, here's Bitcoin. This is the 1-year chart, up nearly 9,000% in the year. You can check out this really strong uptrend. If you look at the last month, it's made a huge move, up over 50% in the month. You can see this double top here, so it does need to break out above that 7,700 high. If you look at the 1-week chart, it's basically been trending sideways for the last week, and so it's trying to break through 7,700. It's got a really strong uptrend. You know, it was pretty flat on the day today. Do keep an eye on Ethereum. You know, it's been heating up. It's up 5% today. It was looking like you know, the chart was trying to set up here. As you can see, the 1-month chart, if it could break above this key level, basically about 315 or so. If you see it get above 315, it could make a run back up to 350. So keep an eye on Ethereum. Take a look at GBTC. Okay, so yeah, this stock is headed back up to the all-time high. If you look down here, it was filling the jar, and the jar is almost filled back up to this 1,000 level. So the high close back here in August, yeah, on what is this, August the 31st is the key level to break at 1,000, basically, just a little bit above. A close above that level is going to signal it wants to keep heading higher. If it fails to break this 1,000 level, that's going to signal a double top, and it could consolidate. Right now, the candles have been riding this pink line, EMA4 at 908. That needs to continue. If that breaks, that's going to be a signal it's cooling down, and you could see it retrace back to this middle Bollinger Band and 50-day simple moving average. But yeah, it's got this really nice uptrend going. Just you know, it's filling the jar back to that 1,000. Just needs to break above 1,000 to head higher. Take a look at the GBTC cloud chart. If you look down here, you could see it came down and it bounced off of cloud support here. So it came up in August, hit the high up here just above 1,000 with the high close, came back, hit the cloud support, and then it bounced off the green cloud. And then notice there was a bullish crossover here with the blue conversion line crossing over the red baseline. So that was a signal it was ready to head higher again. And so we want to see this blue line stay above the red line. That will signal it's bullish. If the blue line crosses back over the red line to the downside, that'll signal downside risk. And once again, it's got to get above the 1,000 level. A close above that's going to signal it wants to break out higher. So it has been riding cloud support right now. You know, if it pulls back, it'll hit this red cloud, so it really needs to bust through 1,000. Okay, let's look at BTSC. Okay, so yeah, this stock has been doing really well. It's been on an excellent run. Now it's, you know, you need to be concerned with RSI at 75. It has a history of pulling back above 70 on RSI, and then you have Fasto over here at 90. Okay, so it has had a hard time in the past staying above 80 on Fasto. If you look at plus DI here on ADX, it is starting to hook down. So this has been on a really nice multi-day run. As you can see here, I think it's been up 8 days in a row. And yeah, congrats to everybody that's caught the alerts. It just keeps pushing higher. If you look here, this is the last chart that we made. Here are the annotations over here, and this is when it was dropping down, riding EMA4 support lower back in September into October, and we were looking at our targets as this September low as the key level to hold. And then this chart was made when the level was breaking, and so we were looking at this next key support level was down here at the low from July. And so it came down and it hit that level and bounced and came back, tested it again right here, and that held, and then that signaled the bottom. So it double bottomed down here at this previous July low, and then once it got back above the middle Bollinger Band, it was back in play. And then notice it's been riding EMA4 support higher ever since. The red flag right now is there is a big space between low of day today and the upper Bollinger Band and EMA4. You could see the candles work back into the bands. If that happens, you want to see EMA4 hold. If that breaks, you could see a drop down to the 100-day simple moving average. Notice it's hitting this August resistance zone right here. So see how many times this level got hit and it failed to break. So it's going to be a really tough level to get through. If it can bust through this just above 10 resistance level, then it could head back up to this 14 level. That'll be the next target, is the 14s. If it can get above this 10 to 11 resistance area. If it starts to pull back, look for a potential reload either off of EMA4 if that support holds. If that breaks, then you want to be shooting for that 100-day simple moving average. Okay, let's take a look at BTCS. Okay, so this chart came down, this stock came down. It's had multiple red candles in a row. Notice how they've pulled it back really hard. You know, similar to BTSC here. That was that had pulled down really hard as well. Notice here when this made the bottom, BTSC, it had the multiple red candles in a row, and then it hit the bottom here. And so with BTCS, you have a similar pattern where it's making multiple red candles in a row, and then now it's bouncing off the lower Bollinger Band. There was a gap over here in October. That gap filled. We were looking for a potential bounce off of this 300-day simple moving average after the gap fill. That did not happen, and so it kept dropping lower, and notice today there was a nice bounce on a volume spike. There's been big volume down here at the bottom, and there was a close back above EMA4. That's the first close above EMA4 since before it dropped below the middle Bollinger Band. So this is signaling upside potential. It has a lot of work to do. Look at all the moving averages are lined up at the same level. Between 10 and 13 are all the moving averages. Look over here on the chart over here. You could see you know, the moving averages are all between 10 and 13. So once it gets above this 50-day simple moving average at 13 and the middle Bollinger Band at 13, which is the 20-day simple moving average, then it'll be trading above all the moving averages and will actually be very bullish. And so right now we're thinking that people are loading down here. We want to see a break above 13, and that's going to be signaling that it wants to cruise higher. So keep an eye on BTCS. If you look here at the 15-minute chart, it's starting to heat up already. Look at all the huge volume down here at the bottom. Notice yesterday it made a double bottom. It came down, hit this 8.2 level, came back up, hit it again, and then it's been heading higher ever since. And so it looks like it has bottomed, and it's broken above the. It started a new uptrend because it got above the middle Bollinger Band, and then once it broke above the 50-day simple or the 50 simple moving average, it was officially in play for us, and then it ended up closing above the gold line, which is the 100 simple moving average. It closed right at high close resistance for the 115 closing price. If it can break above that, then this 200 simple moving average at 1111 is the next target, and then above that is the 300 simple moving average basically at 12. If it can get above the 300 simple moving average on the 15-minute chart and turn that level into support, that'll be a signal that it wants to really get moving higher. So keep an eye on it. Take a look at MGTI. It formed a bullish reversal pattern today. Notice it has a very similar pattern to the one we just looked at. Look at the multiple red candles in a row. So you're looking at, you know, 6 red candles in a row, and then this last pattern, 6 red candles in a row. Why? Because you know, it's program trading, obviously, and so they're bouncing MGTI as well today, and it did form a bullish reversal pattern. It formed a bullish morning star. So this is a really strong reversal pattern. Usually when this forms, the stock does head higher. So we'll see if it can follow through. It needs to break the middle Bollinger Band here. That's it currently at 209. That's the first key level, and then this descending resistance line. If it can close above that, that would be a huge sign that this previous downtrend is broken. And then the biggie on the chart is the 50-day simple moving average at 242. If it can close above that level, that's going to be a signal the race is back on, and then we'll be looking for a potential run back up here to this $4 level to test the previous high from the previous run. So that's what we're looking for here, is for this to get back up here and then retrace back to previous highs. If it fails to hold support here, if it fails to hold above this 100-day simple moving average at 195, that's going to signal downside risk. It needs to stay above that level now. If it gets back below that, then it could come down here and test the 300 and 200-day simple moving averages at 145 and 138. So that is the downside risk, is coming down there to test those levels. If you do look here at the MGTI weekly chart, this is is another reason why it looks like it could bounce from this level. It retraced. Okay, so in 2016 it made a high up here in the fours, and then it came all the way down and found support in the 50s, 50-60 zone, and then it came all the way back up, and then it filled the jar here back to that previous level, and then that was complete. That cycle was complete, and it pulled back after being well above the upper Bollinger Band. Candles worked back into the bands all the way back down to this middle Bollinger Band, and so currently it's trying to hold that level at 202, and it's also trying to hold the blue line here, which is the 300-week simple moving average at 207. So if it can close back above those levels and hold this $2 support zone, then that'll signal upside potential. That will make it the reload zone for a push higher and for a potential run back up here. This is starting to look like a cup, and this looks like this could become a handle. We'll have to see, and this could possibly be the neckline. You know, we'll have to see how the pattern plays out. The downside risk is if this middle Bollinger Band turns into resistance, it could come down and test these moving averages below. It could drop down here. You've got the 100, 50, and 200-week moving averages with the 200-week moving average at 117. So that's the downside risk. It needs to stay above $2 to remain in play here. Okay, let's look at GAHC. Okay, so this stock here is trying to heat up as well. It's trying to bounce. If you could see here, this is the annotations from the last time we made this chart. I have not updated them. Notice that we located the bounce on this play as well. We put this chart out that it was hitting. If you look up here, GAC is trying to bounce off the 300 simple moving average at 0.017. That was this candle right here. Notice how that was the bottom, and you know, we were looking for a potential bounce off of this July support level, and you know, I put up the alert that it was breaking that level intraday. We do this a lot. Like, you know, this chart never made it out in public. It was just in the chat that we were posting this information, so you got to be in there to get these types of alerts. So it came down, it broke that level, and then we were looking for it to hold the May-June level here, and so that level did hold, and the big key was the 300-day simple moving average was at this level. That's the blue line, and so it did hold that 300-day simple moving average. So going forward, it needs to stay above that level. If it comes down and tests it, it has to stay above 0.0114. If it closes below, that's going to be a major sign the chart is super broken and more downside risk. It's already a broken chart in the sense that it's forming candles below the middle Bollinger Band, and it's below the 200-day simple moving average. It's got to get above these moving averages. The top one on this chart is the 100-day simple moving average at 0.02, 2 cents. If it can get up above that level, that's going to be a signal it's back in play. Then it could run to this descending resistance line. Once it closes above the descending resistance line, that'll be a signal that it's ready to get moving again. So it's really been consolidating here. It just has to break above resistance. It's currently, you know, just holding on to that 300-day simple moving average. If it can break it back above these other moving averages, it could get running higher. If you look at the 15-minute chart, it's starting to heat up. It's trying to turn the middle Bollinger Band and 50-day simple. So basically what it did is it broke out, okay, above the middle Bollinger Band, and then it ran all the way up to the 300 and 200 simple moving averages. So it came all the way to the top, and then it topped out. That's what happens a lot. And then it came back down, and it's holding the 50 and middle Bollinger Band, the 50 SMA and the middle Bollinger Band. And so as long as those levels hold, there will be upside potential. It's trying to break the gold line, which is the 100 SMA, currently at 0.0154. And then once it gets above this 17.017 level, that's when it's going to be a signal it's ready to break out higher. The chart's setting up. It's trying to you know, make the bullish move. If it drops below 14.5, it will be a risk to hold. Okay, so take a look at SING. Okay, this chart is wound tight. Look how tight these Bollinger Bands are. Super tight through here. So so notice how wide they were. This is the upper Bollinger Band, and then notice how the lower Bollinger Band is off the chart down here, and then they've just have become so tight, and then look what's happening now. After becoming super tight, basically I should have moved that over just a little bit. You'll see here, notice the break here. So it's extremely tight here the last week of October, and then notice how it's starting to break. They're starting to widen, and notice how when they're starting to widen, the candles are above the middle Bollinger Band. Notice how they were breaking above EMA 4. That's a signal that it's wanting to push higher. It looks like it wants to break out higher. If you look over here at the moving averages, it is currently trading above all the moving averages. That they're all converged here between 4 cents and 6 cents. And so if it can stay above 6 cents, then it's going to be maximum bullishness. It's trading above all the moving averages, riding EMA 4 support higher. That's super bullish. I mean, it's in a sideways consolidation pattern, but just the point is that it's turning these levels into support, and what the volume is telling us down here is that a volume spike is coming. When you get the big push here and then you get the sideways action and the volume really dries up, it's a signal that the sellers have all tired, and now all we're waiting for is a bullish volume spike and a push through resistance. The resistance level is that 7 upper Bollinger Band, and then through the high close here. So the high close level is the right here on this candle. If it can close above that level, that's going to be your signal that it's ready to break out higher, and then you could see a run back up here to 10. If you look up here at the this is the closing price from back here on the 14th of July or August, and so the upside is that it could run back up here to 10 cents if it can break through 7. So put SING on your radar. Notice on the 15-minute chart it's heating up. It had this big pullback, and then once again, it's getting above all the moving averages on this chart. The top moving average on this chart is the 100 simple moving average at 0.065, and so basically once it gets above that level, that's going to be a signal that it's very bullish and it's ready to run higher, similar to back here on the 3rd when it was above the moving averages and pushing higher. So yeah, we'll be looking for this to possibly heat up. If it drops back below the 300, down here at 0.063, then it'll be signaling more consolidation. And just to leave you with one more chart, got to show it to you just because this one had the big run before. Check out BITCF. I mean, it's still alive. It's amazing that it even has 100,000 shares traded today. Not very much, only $50,000 worth of stock has exchanged hands today, but look at the tight Bollinger Bands. It's currently, I believe, trading on the grays. So I believe there are no quotes or market makers for this stock, but yeah, I'm just showing it to you to see if it finally pops. We're gonna keep doing little updates to see if this pattern ever breaks, if it's gonna break to the downside or the upside. The chart is wound so tight, super tight. Once it breaks above, if it does, the green and gold line here above 71 cents, it could really get running. So yeah, just for fun, keep an eye on it. Yep, Bitcoin, it's going big time. I'm liking the odds of this Ethereum making its way back up here to the $400 level. So keep an eye on Ethereum, and Bitcoin is pushing higher. They canceled the split, so that's creating a lot of speculation in Bitcoin. So everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen now that there's no split coming. Okay, so thank you very much for viewing this video. Check us out at mychartcoach.com and our YouTube channel at mychartcoach.com. Thank you.